She whispered, "You'll regret choosing me," but the way her voice trembled betrayed the steel she tried to show, and the rancher, Cole Maddox, simply smiled, a slow, knowing curl of his lips that had carried whole towns through storms, droughts, and danger, before he answered softly, "I already regret waiting this long," and that was the moment everything shifted in the dry, windswept valley of Blackwater Ridge. For months, folks had watched from porches and saloons as the mysterious woman known only as Mara drifted through the territory like a shadow, silent, watchful, carrying secrets in her eyes that made even the bravest ranch hands step back, but never Cole. Cole wasn't the kind of man who ran from storms, he rode into them. He saw in Mara something no one else bothered to look long enough to notice, a woman who stood alone not because she wanted to, but because she believed she had to. The town had gossiped endlessly, calling her cursed, calling her dangerous, calling her the kind of woman who brought ruin wherever she went, but Cole had watched her mend an injured coyote with tenderness, had seen her share her only canteen with a stranger on the trail, had seen her hide tears when she thought no one was looking, and each moment carved deeper into him the realization that she wasn't the danger, she was the one running from it. So when Mara whispered that warning, standing in the dim lamplight of his barn, dust motes swirling around them like sparks from a fire, Cole stepped closer instead of retreating, and she fought the urge to move back, not because she feared him, but because she feared what he saw in her. But Cole already knew, he'd sensed it the night he found her collapsed near the fence, blood on her sleeve and fear in her eyes, whispering one word before falling unconscious, "They're coming." He'd brought her inside, treated her wounds, kept her safe while she healed, and though she tried to leave a dozen times afterward, something about the quiet steadiness of Cole Maddox anchored her every time. And now she was finally telling him the truth, about the men who hunted her, about the bounty placed on her head not because of a crime she committed, but because of a truth she uncovered, a land-stealing ring run by powerful men who planned to take over every ranch within 50 miles, including Cole's. That was why Mara had kept her distance. That was why she warned him. But when Cole looked at her in that lamplit barn, with night thick around them and danger inching closer by the hour, he didn't see a woman bringing ruin, he saw the one person brave enough to fight the darkness when everyone else stayed silent. He touched her cheek, not gentle, but grounding, and whispered back, "You think I'd let fear make my choices for me?" She tried to hide it, but her breath hitched, because no one had ever chosen her before. People chose survival, chose safety, chose the easy path, and choosing Mara was none of those things. She told him again that she was dangerous, that she'd lived the last year running, that she'd watched good men die for knowing her, and Cole only stepped closer, his voice dropping to that low rumble that had soothed dying horses and terrified rustlers, "Then let them come. They'll learn quick who they're dealing with." She stared at him, at the broad-shouldered rancher whose strength came not from pride but from purpose, and for the first time since her world collapsed, she felt the faintest spark of something she thought she'd lost, hope. But hope didn't change the fact that gunmen were coming before dawn. Mara insisted on leaving for his safety, but Cole stopped her with a single sentence that froze her in place, "You think you're the reason they're coming? They've been circling this ranch for months, I've just been waiting for them to step foot on my land." That stunned her. She realized Cole hadn't been blind to the danger, he'd been preparing for it. He'd already quietly moved his cattle, reinforced the barn, warned his closest friends, and placed watchers along the ridgeline. He wasn't caught off guard, he was ready. And for the first time in her life, Mara wasn't alone in the fight. So when the first horse silhouettes appeared on the ridge, black against the moonlit sky, Mara stepped forward beside Cole, shoulders squared, mouth set with determination. Cole looked at her out of the corner of his eye and murmured, "You still think I'll regret choosing you?" She swallowed, her heart thundering but steady, and whispered, "Yes." Cole smirked. "Good. Makes winning more exciting." The battle that followed became the kind of tale told in saloons for decades, gunshots echoing through the night, Mara and Cole fighting back to back, dust rising in clouds as horses thundered down the ridge, the barn lantern swinging wildly overhead as shadows danced like ghosts. Mara moved like someone who had spent a year surviving, sharp, precise, ruthless in a way born from necessity, not cruelty. And Cole fought, like a man who had something worth protecting. By dawn, the gunmen were in chains, their plans exposed, their leader begging for mercy as Cole dragged him to the sheriff. But the real moment, the one that stayed burned into both their memories, came after the sheriff rode off with the prisoners and the sun started rising over the fields, painting the ranch gold. Mara turned to Cole, exhaustion trembling through her limbs, and murmured, "You should have let me go." Cole stepped close enough for their breath to mingle and whispered back, "And waste the chance to find you. No. I'd regret that for the rest of my life." Her eyes filled, not with fear, not with guilt, but with the realization that she was finally somewhere she didn't have to run. She whispered, voice breaking, "What do I do now?" Cole brushed a thumb under her eye and answered with the softened confidence that had melted her defenses from the beginning, "Stay. Heal. Help me rebuild this ranch. And if one day, you decide you want more than that, you won't ever need to whisper warnings again." And for the first morning in a very long time, Mara smiled, not a shadowed, guarded smile, but a real one, bright enough to rival the sunrise. She chose to stay. And fate, for once, chose to stay kind. And if you want more stories like this, more love, danger, and Wild West fire, then make sure the sun had barely climbed over Blackwater Ridge when Mara realized something she never expected. Silence felt different when she wasn't running. She stood on the porch of Cole's ranch, the morning breeze lifting her hair, carrying the scent of dust, hay, and the faint sweetness of wild sage. For the first time in months, she wasn't checking shadows, counting escape routes, or listening for distant hoofbeats. Cole stepped out beside her, his presence steady as the land itself, handing her a cup of coffee he'd brewed strong enough to wake the dead. "Sleep any?" he asked, voice warm with concern he tried to hide. Mara didn't answer at first. Sleep had come in flashes, interrupted by memories she wished she could burn away. But she'd also woken to something she never imagined, safety. She whispered, and Cole nodded like he understood every unspoken word. The ranch hands passed by with respectful smiles, none of them looked at her with suspicion now. Word of last night's gunfight had spread, and the town no longer saw Mara as a wandering curse, they saw her as the woman who stood her ground beside Cole Maddox. Still, shadows of doubt flickered in her chest. "You really trust me after all this?" she murmured, eyes fixed on the horizon. Cole didn't hesitate. "I trusted you before the bullets started flying." That answer nearly unraveled her. But before she could respond, Cole motioned for her to follow. He led her to the corral where a horse, a fierce, amber-eyed mare, stood restless and untamed. "She's like you," he said. "Runs hard, trusts slow." Mara raised a brow. "And you think I can handle her?" Cole smirked. "I think she'll handle you." The mare snorted, pawing the ground, but when Mara approached, something shifted, the animal stilled, ears tilting forward, recognizing a spirit that understood freedom and fear in equal measure. Mara placed a hand on the mare's neck, surprised when the animal leaned into her touch. Cole watched quietly, admiration softening his gaze. "Told you," he said. Mara turned, fighting the warmth rising in her chest. "You're impossible." Cole's smile deepened. "So stay and prove me wrong." But before she could answer, a rider appeared at the far fence, waving a dust-stained envelope. The sheriff's seal glinted on it. Mara's stomach tightened. Trouble didn't end with a single night. Cole took the letter, scanned it, and his jaw hardened. "More names," he muttered. "More land they plan to steal." Mara felt the old fear crawl up her spine, but Cole reached for her hand, grounding her with a simple, steady squeeze. "We're in this together now," he said. The words shouldn't have felt like salvation, but they did. For the first time, Mara wasn't facing the storm alone. And maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to run ever again.